You know what's funny? By the way, hello. It's when people ask, like, you know what's funny, and it's never funny that follows, because this is just an expression to strike up a conversation or something. So, you know what's funny? That I always have trouble with two things. One is to talk about something that nobody asked, which seems ridiculous because I'm in camera and people always think that I feel comfortable in front of the camera. But in these 10 years that I've been making things, not just for YouTube, but like for other things, I've never been comfortable in front of the camera. I know how to act, and it's sort of like an artificial thing that I'm doing to make it look like interesting. You can call it acting, by the way, if you want to give it a very fancy name. But I'm not feeling comfortable. So having this discomfort is not really helping me to talk about something that I know I've no idea whether you would enjoy it or not. So new things, I have trouble with new things, talk about new things. And also the second one, I have in trouble talking about like things that people ask, because people, and this is a funny way of very selfish way to put it, but people never ask me the right questions. Of course, they don't know me. So I remember once I asked in the comment section that people should like ask me questions about Hungary, and then I would try to sort of tackle the subject, to sort of try to explain it. And then the result was like, okay, someone asked like, hey, talk about Hungarian girls and how you could get Hungarian girls, and like I was like, what? I don't know. I don't know if like people can like get girls. It's not that I'm unfamiliar with the female part of society, and then maybe that's a personal thing for another time. Right now I'm just me talking to the camera, and let's leave it that. I also have cows, by the way, just like here's a random cow. Maybe I leave it for the rest of the episode, but it's covering up the microphone. So I have trouble answering questions that I can't answer, and I have trouble talking about new things. So, okay, but let's talk about things that I'm familiar with for a very short period of time. Let's talk about the technology that brought you this episode of Life vs. Universe. So, I have different cameras for different purposes, and this one is my newest camera. It's a Sony CX 405 or 450, which tells you nothing unless you know about it, and then if you know all about it, then why am I speaking to you about? Anyways, this is just my frustration. It will go away. So this is the camera, and it takes lots of good pictures, but I used to have different cameras. Like I used to record stuff with this one, which is kind of crazy. It's a Toshiba B10. I originally bought 3, 2 of them died, and actually took them back and got my money back because of the warranty. But I love this form factor of the camera. It doesn't have any zoom. This one has. This one actually has like a mobile phone zoom thing, like a remote control, which I could use, but I'm not using. That just makes things complicated. So this makes not very good picture, although people sometimes say that, oh yeah, you must have the biggest equipment in the history, like the most expensive, because you do cool stuff. But actually it's just, you know, also editing on the computer and playing with the colors if I have time. So anyways, I used to use this one, but that's much better, of course. But the problem with this one, it doesn't have a microphone jack, and I have this microphone, this right here, this tiny little piece, which is for some reason compatible with this camera. It doesn't have a headphone jack, but also with that and with other cameras I had to use an actual voice recorder, which recorded brilliant voice and still does, by the way, if I use it. But the problem is that I had to synchronize the footage with the sound, so I had the camera recording of my voice very badly, and then I had to synchronize it with the separate recording, just the voice itself, and it made an additional complications with the editing part, because synchronizing stuff is not always easy, even though if you are thinking about this sort of stuff, you can always use noises to synchronize stuff. I personally like using 2 in the beginning, and then when it ends 2 again. But imagine if you go around the world trying to shoot something. That's why I don't really have, you know, when I went to the Azores Islands or went to Moscow or the US, I didn't make any footage featuring me, not just because I'm uncomfortable in front of the camera, but it's very hard to mix all this. So anyways, so I guess now things are a bit easier with technology, and it's also, anyway, so I guess that's the technology here. I mean, I record something digitally, I put it in the computer, and then I have to think about all sorts of crazy stuff. For instance, if I don't want to lose my footage, I need archiving methods. Amazon Cloud Drive provides something that is unlimited for a reasonable price, which I love, by the way, because I don't have to use my computer or something like a server here with loads of hard drives. And when I burn down the house, which eventually probably happens, or not, hopefully, but, you know, inevitability and stuff. But let's say if I burn down the house, then all the data gets lost, which means that all the things I have ever worked on I may want to use as reference, such as a trip to Moscow, and I want to use some pictures, then can't find it. So as you can see, it's not just handling all the technologies, these big questions of what camera to use. Okay, sorry about this edit, because yeah, stuff happens. Stuff always happens, by the way. That's the problem. Imagine, and this is the last topic for the whole thing, and I promised that I just shut it off. So this is the hardest part, I think. Imagine that you go to some place, create something. I have a sort of like a cheaper version of a GoPro, like an action camera, which I don't really care about the quality of the picture, which is decent, but really it's about that I can put it on the water or in bad weather. And then I went to Barcelona for a project, and I had a couple of free days, and I went to Andorra, which is near France. It's on the border of France and Spain. And then, because I was kind of sick, I decided not to use any of my cameras except that action cam, which really doesn't have any branding. And then when I came home, it turned out that it recorded, even though it seemed to record stuff, it recorded nothing. So what happens then? So even when you talk about all sorts of technical stuff, and like I said, I work with computers, I should be able to handle these kind of things. I can't, because there are always unexpected stuff happening. So I guess that's about it. Thank you for watching. Oh yeah, before I end this, now I have a question. Have you ever experienced any data losses like that? That would you know, be funny, a series of funny stories actually about like you went to Hawaii and then whatever happened with you and the camera, and a bear ate it and you found it 2 days later, but all you had was like bear selfies. I don't know. Well, thanks. Bye.